let your sparkle get some rest. So tap me out and tap me into you. Feel my brain and my body too. Balance my chemistry, hydrate these cells, cause the body talks and meditation helps. The body talks and meditation helps.
Okay.
Do your nerves come, Mom?
I think so. All right. So, Jaicey Owens. Let's see. Welcome to Hope Brokers. I have my lovely daughter, beautiful, gorgeous, awesome, amazing, talented, wonderful, amazing daughter with me, Jaicey Owens. It's going to be emotional. Are you ready, honey?
I'm as ready as I'll be.
Okay. I wanted to start with kind of just, I started Hope Brokers because of Talon. I think that there are a lot of people that are struggling right now. And I feel like when we share our stories, it gives other people hope because they can identify with you and your story and they understand that you've been there before. And I feel like a lot of people look to us for help, for hope, for inspiration because we've made it through some hard times. We're still healing. We're still, going through the journey. It's going to be a lifelong process, but I'm so proud of how far both of us have come, especially you, Jaicey. I'm beaming. I'm a proud mama. I wanted to start out talking about you and Talon because I feel like you guys had a really amazing relationship. You guys were super close, like twins. I know. And if I look like I'm dazed and confused, I'm just looking for pictures. So I have a lot of pictures of you and Talon. So tell me about your relationship. Tell me about how, I know that you've joked that you took some whoopings for him. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the whooping you took for Talon.
Specifically the whooping that
if
I
you
took
want
for Talon. Mine and Talon's relationship was, he was my first best friend. I feel like that's true for a lot of siblings who grow up close together. So with you being our mom, I think that made us, like, we had no choice but to be each other's best friends first because, like, being little, you didn't really let us go anywhere. So we had each other, like we were nowhere outside of your sight. So we had each other. And my earliest memories of childhood. Woo! Can't talk. Give me a second. My throat's
okay, honey. I know as I was preparing for this, I kept losing it. And I'm just like, oh, every time I come through, I just and I would get frustrated because I'm like, pull it together because I was trying to get organized and I had a hard time this morning. So I get it.
I was really looking forward to this with you because these are conversations we haven't had since Talon passed away because it's hard. I was really interested to see how it was going to go. I kind of had a feeling it was going to go like this.
I'm sorry.
This is real. This is what helps us connect to people. I've made a lot of connections through what we've been through because people do need to know. I agree with you. Like, people do need to know that they're not alone. And I think that we'll go into that later. But growing up with Talon was so much fun because it was like the purest form of friendship that anyone could imagine. I didn't know that growing up you weren't close to your siblings, like people weren't close to their siblings. I didn't know that, and I didn't understand that because Talon and I were so similar from like the day we met each other. Like, there was that connection of you get me and I get you. I have you if I need you. And I feel like that, like, my friendship with Talon at a really young age was so vital to every relationship that I built after that. because I always compared my friendship with Talon with my friendships with other people because of the way it made me feel. It was honest and it was real and it was unconditional. And I learned that at a really young age because of him, because of how we grew up together.
He was good at that. He was good at making people feel loved. Everybody. He was very good at that.
Oh.
So you guys were close. You took a whooping for him.
Which time? I've taken so many whoopings for him.
Well, let's talk about the cheese incident. That was a good one.
The cheese incident. This was one of my earliest memories, actually, of being a little kid, was my dad sitting Talon and I down on the stairs and like opening up our mouths and comparing the cheese bite. You can see my dad doing this though. And I kept telling my dad that it wasn't me that bit the cheese, that it was Talon. And Talon said that he wasn't the one that bit the cheese. And I could tell that he was not open to taking a spanking for that cheese. So I just was like, I bit the cheese, Dad, even though it wasn't me. And that was the first time I remember taking a spanking for him.
That's so sweet. It's such a tender thing to hear stuff like that. You also gave him a nickname, Lalo. Do you know where that came from?
From Lilo and Stitch.
Oh yeah. So how did it end up Lalo?
I don't know. I think it was something random one day. I think it was something really random one day. I don't even remember how far back it started. But Lilo and Stitch was one of our favorite movies to watch together as a kid. We had almost that whole entire movie memorized.
Any movie Talon loved was memorized because he obsessively watched it over and over and over and over. In fact, I'll just share my funniest favorite memory of Talon because he was so little. He was probably only 3 or 4 years old. And
I remember the day this happened, actually. I know which one you're talking about.
I was upstairs and I kept hearing this playback of this movie, and it was the movie Bring It On, and it was the part of the movie where the girl is on the table and she's dancing very trashy and provocative. And it's the tryouts for the cheer team. But I kept hearing it. I didn't recognize it at the time, but I kept hearing this fast forward, rewind, play. And then it played through this whole scene and rewind and play. And I was like, what is he listening? What is he watching? And I went downstairs and it's that scene of the girl putting her hair around and
for auditions.
It's the day I knew my son was really interested in girls, and that was fine with me. No doubt in my mind that boy loved girls at a very young age. So yes, I had to take that tape away from him. Okay, so let's talk about. So you guys were very, very close. You have favorite memories. He was an amazing best friend, brother. He was an amazing son. So I didn't actually plan to bring this up, but I think it's so intricate and to Talon's legacy and his story. But I want to talk about the night that he snuck out of his window and left his cell phone on his bed. I didn't ever think I would remember the exact date, except for that it was the day before my dad's birthday, my biological father's birthday. And so, by the time this had all transpired and happened, it was April actually 6th, my dad's birthday.
2016.
Yeah, it was April 6th, 2016. So I get a call in the middle of the night. Now, Talon was not a deviant child. In fact, I think you guys were all pretty scared of me. I think you guys would have known better not to sneak out or whatever. If not scared of me, you were scared of the outside world, because I'm pretty sure that I let you guys know how many kidnappers and rapists and bad people there were, and they were everywhere on every corner, and you should never leave my sight.
This is the truth.
It's the truth, yes. So I got a call. I was on the couch. I think I'd fallen asleep on the couch, or maybe I wasn't quite asleep, but I had gotten a call, and it was from an unknown number, which I thought was weird. And I was in Bell Bonds at the time.
It was
and
like midnight.
Yeah, I was in Bell Bonds. So I was thinking that I answered because I thought maybe it was a Bell Bonds call. And also at the time, there was some weird random scam going on where people were trying to get you to meet with them to give them cash for bail money. Anyways, so when I got this call and somebody told me that they had Talon downtown, that they were a police officer, they had Talon downtown, my initial thought was, really, yeah, right, scammer. I'm not going to fall for your crap.
Right, scammer.
yeah, I'm not falling for your crap. You don't have my son. But the guy was insistent that he was
details were oddly specific.
Huh?
The details
no,
were
he didn't tell me
specific.
details. He just said he had my son. And as he started talking some more, Talon's room wasn't too far from me. So I went over to his room and opened the door. And sure enough, his window was open and he wasn't in his room. And so immediately I knew that Talon was downtown, and I was wondering, what was he doing downtown? What trouble was he in? I thought maybe he honestly just got caught for curfew. And
Can I jump in right here?
Sure. Yeah.
So this is my senior year too. This is April, my senior year. This is about midterm finals, or maybe it was the end of the year finals or something along that line.
Mm-hmm.
And Talon and I were really, really close in a way to where, like, if he ever planned to sneak out or do anything, or like, I knew about it as like a backup plan so that he knew that he had someone to fall back on if he was in trouble.
You mean your deviant covering for each other goes way back?
We look out for each other. That's what siblings do.
I'm just kidding.
But no, he always told me what was going on, even if you didn't know about it. Because sometimes that's just how it goes when you're growing up. That's just how it goes. You tell your siblings.
You guys had gone on a road trip a couple weeks prior to that. Do you want to talk about that?
Literally, I think it was a week or two prior to that. We went up to Lagoon, to Salt Lake City, or wherever, Farmington. We took a road trip together, and this was our first and only road trip we did take together alone. And we went to Lagoon, and there were some behaviors that stood out to me, but I didn't look into.
Like, what would you say?
The main ones that I look back on now, like in retrospect, right, is when he told me that we had to turn around and get mom and dad a necklace. And I was like, that's so random, but okay. But it wasn't that random.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of random. Like, I didn't understand the rhyme or reason for it until after.
Since you brought up the necklace really quick, I want to talk about that because when he gave that necklace to me, I was offended. My love language is gifts, as you know. So gifts to me are, the sentiment behind it, the thought. Doesn't matter if it cost $100 or a penny, right? It was more about, like, what was the thought, effort, time, sentiment involved. Mm-hmm. And so when he gave me, what's your dad's favorite animal?
Well, my dad has a turtle tattooed on his leg.
So when I got the necklace and it was a turtle, my heart was so hurt because I'm like, why is he giving me a turtle? That's his dad's thing, right? Like, I didn't know it was his thing that he had adopted from his dad. But I'm just saying, like, at the time, I didn't know that he actually was being very thoughtful because he actually wrote in his suicide note the context of what that turtle meant to him. And that's where the birth of the Talon's turtles and the sentiment behind the turtles is that Talon's letter to me was that, turtles were, to him, represented strength and endurance and living in moments and happiness and all of that. And so to me, that meant a lot. That means a lot to me now and forever. Turtles is a Talon thing.
Yeah.
But go ahead. So making
the second, I mean, when we were driving back, there was, we were having philosophical questions, but Talon and I always had philosophical questions. Like, even when we were kids, like, our time together was asking the why questions and imagining what it's really like in life. So we were talking about life after death. That was a very big topic on our drive up. And I remember telling him, you know, everyone's a philosopher in this lifetime, and everyone's guess is as good as the next. And you have to follow your gut, and you have to live every day like it's your last. And you have to be a good person, because you never know, they might be right. Like, as long as you're living in the moment and you're being a good person and you know what that feels like you'll be fine. Like, I remember that was like the gist. I'm like, don't waste your, like, in that moment, I was like, don't waste your time thinking about what's on the other side. I didn't know that in his brain, like, that's what he was chasing at the time. But I was like, don't even worry about it. Live right now. Like, that's what I was communicating to him. And the last thing was, like, right as we were getting home, he was like telling me the password to his phone. And he said that it was because I gave him my debit card number, because at the time, like, I would give him my debit card to, like, go get iced tea or snacks or food, because I had a job in high school and he didn't. So I would just give him my debit card. He's like, thanks for always looking out for me. The password to my phone is your debit card number, except for I changed this number in it. And I was like, you're welcome. Thanks. Weird. Why? Like, I never thought to give him my password to my phone, but it was one of those things where it kind of made sense, but I was kind of like, I don't know about that. So when you got the call and you were going downtown, I was freaking out. I was like, why didn't he tell me where he was going? Because I always knew. If you didn't know, I always knew. And I called my friend Haley, because you went downtown, and I was pacing the house. And I was like, Haley, you are not going to believe it. Like, Talon probably got caught doing something dumb downtown. He's out past curfew. I don't know. And I walk into his room, and it's, like, immaculately clean. And that was my first premonition that it might be what I thought it was. And then I saw that his phone was laying face up on his bed, and I knew the password, and I knew I was the only one who knew the password. And I picked up his phone and I put in the password, and his phone was wiped clean, except for the suicide note and a couple of his pictures. And I couldn't even read it all at the time. It was, oh, Mom, I'd hug you through the phone right now.
I didn't know his phone was wiped clean. And I was just going downtown. I knew I didn't. Oh, you know what? Finish where you are.
So I picked up his phone, and I entered the password, and the 6-page suicide note came up in his notes in his phone. And I couldn't even, like, read it. I just saw, to who it may concern, to Mom, to Dad, to Jake, to my sisters, to everyone else. And he kept using phrases like, to
Don't
fly,
be sad.
to fly, don't be sad, I'm gonna go fly. And I literally saw in my brain exactly where he was going and what he was doing. And I blacked out, and I screamed my loudest, most painful scream, because I felt like he was gone. I've experienced that feeling twice in my life.
I know, honey. So then didn't you leave immediately after that?
Well, Nana came upstairs because she heard me scream. And she's like, what the hell is going on? And I was like, Talon's dead, and Mom doesn't know, and we need to go tell Dad, and we need to get down there before she finds out. And Nana's like, you're not going anywhere. How do you know? And I showed her the note, and Haley showed up in this time because I guess I never hung up on her.